We have another live event involving the plane crash. This is figure skater Nancy Kerrigan, and a number of victims from this midair collision were from the skating club of Boston. You can see Nancy Kerrigan in tears there. She was actually a member of this skating club. And as we continue to say, this is an incredibly tight-knit community. Let's listen in.
Her daughter, Elin Schran, who worked with our coaches, with Vadim and Jenya and Spencer, and runs a great company called Joy Skate, which does a lot to diversify our sport. And Paul George, a longtime club member, national champion in the sport, and president emeritus of the U.S. Figure Skating Foundation. Any questions we can answer for you?
Did you know the coaches personally throughout your career, and could you reflect on the loss, their style?
Well, first of all, we came here because we needed to be together. We're family, and it's a community. And the skaters, the people who were on that plane, they're our family too. And our community means so much to us. We're also here to encourage the skaters who have been aiming to reach the World Championships. It's important for them to know we're all together. I certainly don't have any answers. I really can't believe that it happened, because I picture them right here. The coaches always stood at that entrance. The skaters just flew all over the ice, doing remarkable things, inspiring all of us. And it's to us, it's just terrible, and it's sad, and we just feel we need to be together. That's why you see so many hugs today.
Emily, Paul, this is the second time for this club. I don't know if you remember from 1961, and there's people and kind of what happens to bring it up.
Yes, there were really 22 of my friends on that plane in 1961 on their way to the World Championships. And I'm sure I would have gone there to cheer them on, but I was in my last year of medical school and couldn't go. And I remember years later, people looking at me very strangely when they were talking about that, and they thought, weren't you on that plane? And I wish the ones that were on that plane weren't. And I don't know how to handle this, but the last thing I would want to do would be a press conference, but we all felt we need to be here, and I'm glad to see you all here because that means you care and will help us all try to deal with this. And we're thinking and loving the family members who are going through such a terrible time right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Paul, did you have anything you want to add since you knew the 61 team as well?
Paul, would you mind stepping in?
Sure.
Please.
Like today, 1961 was a tragic moment. It was the day the music stopped. Very much like this. I think it made us more resolute, though, as we moved forward as skaters, young skaters. I was 19 at the time. It took time, but we came back, I think, stronger, better. This is a club of excellence. It has been for over 100 years. We have produced countless talented skaters. You have some right here in Nancy, in Tenley, and Elin. I think we will continue to do it. We, of course, today think of the families, think of the athletes, and that's as it should be.
What went through your mind when you heard about the crash?
It was a very vivid reminder of 1961. My wife tapped me on the shoulder at 6:30 and told me, much as my father had done 64 years ago, at about the same time of day. very vivid memories come back. As Tenley said, we lost a whole group of friends. We all grew up together. We skated together, trained together, even went to parties occasionally together.
So how do you process just seeing the tragedy happening to people you care about? Seeing the happening?
Well, I think as with anyone who has losses, is we first of all think and pray and hope for them and for their families. And then there'll come a time when the music will again be on, and we will push forward, be more resolute, be more determined.
How does the club come back from this now?
I think we grieve, as we all are doing. I think a number of you have expressed similar feelings to us today. We will honor the athletes, honor the families. But I think we also will encourage people to come back and get back on the ice, get about their lives, be more focused if ever. We will survive.
Sir, can you tell us if these families have been a part of the club for a long time since their children were small?
I'll turn that to
Yes,
Doug.
easily several years. Max moved here in 2017 with his parents when they joined the club as coaches. So he's been here for 8 years. Coaching, we're here for 8 years. We wooed them away from a program in Connecticut to be part of our high performance Team USA building program. It was a great decision. Instrumental in so much of what they've done. Vadim and Jenya were developmental coaches, which means they took kids as they came into the sport, and their focus, very much the St. Petersburg method out of Russia, was to build kids from an early age with the proper discipline and techniques that would carry them through the sport forever. And they were very good at that. The Hahn family, we watched Gina just grow up here from just a tiny little tyke into this amazingly mature 13-year-old who you wouldn't even think was 13. A great performer, a great competitor, and off the ice, a great kid. You know, I think as we would say, or some circles would say, raised right. Just a really good kid, great parents. And we talk a lot about the athletes, but I think we're going to miss their moms as much. Just really good people.
What's the reaction to the tragedy, and how do you process it? Can you flip to the mic?
Yeah, much like everyone here has been saying, is not sure how to process it. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Which is why I'm here. Many of you may know my husband's my agent, and he keeps getting calls to do interviews, and I thought that was weird. I didn't feel like it was right to be home and doing interviews for this. So I called Elin. I'm like, what are you doing? I think we just all need to go together. And she said, let me call my mom. And so we're like, okay, we'll meet you in an hour. And we just wanted to be here and be part of our community. I've never seen anyone love skating as much as these two, and that's why I think it hurts so much. And I mean, everything. Tenley's always here supporting the kids, and anytime I've been able to be here and watch them grow, the kids here really work hard. Their parents work hard to be here. But I feel for the athletes, the skaters, their families, but anyone that was on that plane, not just the skaters, because it's just such a tragic event. And we've been through tragedies before as Americans, as people, and we are strong. And I guess it's how we respond to it. And so my response was to be with people I care about and I love, and I needed support. So that's why I'm here. And I don't know, a little bit at a time. I think it's a shock. I wasn't woken up in the morning and saw it. I was watching like all night. So I probably look tired, but, and then when you find out, you know, some of the people on the plane, it's even a bigger blow. We just wish them well, and like the families, the courage and the strength to make the next steps. I don't know how. You look at people go through tragedies and you wonder, how do they do it? I don't know, but we're so strong. Somehow we have a reservoir to dig from, and each one of them are strong enough to get through this somehow. It will take time, but look beside you, there's somebody that cares, and I don't know, tell people around you that you love them because you just never know. Don't forget to say it.
Could you reflect on Vadim and Jenya, what kind of coaches they were, and did you work with them?
I never worked with them. I mean, we were at the Olympics together, but '94 I was kind of busy myself and sort of separated from a lot of what was going on. But I mean, I've seen them a lot of times here and there over the years, but everything you've heard of them, like maybe being a little tough, but with a smile on their face, and like anytime I walked in, oh hi, it's so good to see you. It's like always welcoming and happy to see one another, and like so just to walk in here and not see that is, I think, would be very strange for everybody that comes here, especially those that are here day in and day out, and it's going to be hard. And I always feel like, what am I doing? I don't come to the skating club all the time, but it was the only place I thought I should be right now. I did not expect this, neither did Stanley. I'm not sure, but we just wanted to be here with each other, and for Doug. We watched Doug's interview, and
That helped us.
it did help. Thank you. Yeah,
There are so many memories, and just having seen the skaters competing, and knowing that Max is now, he did so well in the nationals. He's made the world team as an alternate, and then Spencer, who was in your ice show. Could you tell us what you told me about?
you had a
his
great
skating?
story.
My company does free outdoor shows around the city. Nancy's hosted and started many of them. And Spencer was in his first show with our company this past December in Kendall Square, Cambridge. And he'd never done a professional show before. It was a new experience for him. He was nervous. And then after the show ended, he came over and he was just beaming. This kid was so talented. He'd only started skating a few years ago, and he had all of his triples, and not just that, but this natural grace and beauty and understanding of ice and speed, and his positions were just so gorgeous. And he came to me and smiling ear to ear, saying, I get it now. I understand. And he started to discover this connection with the audience and that joy that he was giving to other people through his gift. And he said, please let me skate again with you next year. I had already reached out to people like Doug Webster, who was the artistic director of Ice Dance International, and said, you've got to keep your eye on this kid. You're going to want him for your company. He was just brilliant and so kind. And he was great backstage. That matters to me even more than the onstage talent of these kids. And
we watched him here.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand this. Just really praying for his family.
All of them.
For all of them.
Olympic potential?
Yes, I do.
Definitely.
I've never seen somebody come to it so fast.
And so naturally.
So naturally.
Do you know how recently he has
I think it was 3 years ago. Mia, do you know Ben? 3 years ago.
That's unheard of.
I mean, these kids can make it look really easy when they're doing triple jumps and all of their triples. It's actually not very easy. You know, you don't just need talent. You need to have a lot of hard work to get there.
Grit.
And for him, and grit, thank you, and resilience. And for him to get there in 3 years, that's why I refer to him as a phenom.
What about Gina? Olympic potential? She's 13.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she was in it to win it. And she was in it to win it in a Tenley way. Full of grace, a serious competitor, but so nice about it and so supportive of her fellow competitors. Just a delight, but for a little 13-year-old, just full of grace. And I want to say one other thing about Vadim and Jenya, because I refer to them as being strict, and I think what I really mean to say, they had high standards, because they were incredibly kind. They were so kind, but they had high standards. And the combination really worked with their kids, because they felt the support, but they also knew where their bar was. And I have to say, for me as CEO here, I could not walk into this arena, see them for the first time that day, and for them not to come over, shake my hand, and thank me for the opportunity to be here, which you don't always see. Just very grateful and generous with their feedback. I mean, we can probably all speak to that. Well, maybe you're probably too young. But I grew up in the shadow of that. So the crash had happened before I was born, but my mom had me skating at a very early age. And even as a little 4-year-old, as a little 3-year-old, I knew something terrible had happened. Folks weren't talking about it, but there was a pall. There was like this black energy in the arena at the old facility at 1240 Soldiers Field Road. And as a little kid, it was like the terrible awful that you couldn't talk about. It was that devastating. And I just knew not to ask about it, but I could viscerally feel it. I think we'll see how we move forward here. The fact that we have no skaters on the ice right now and no coaches is not because we asked them not to come. I think they're staying away. They're just processing this, and they're taking a break. But I think Nancy and Tenley and Elin and Paul coming to join us today and not knowing there would be media here, but just to be part of the fabric of our community over the decades speaks a lot to why skating is such a special and in many ways unique sport, a really strong sport.
I will attest to that, going through something tragic, not like this, but myself, that the communities stood behind me, and I'm grateful for that. And so it's my turn now to hopefully be here. I'm not sure what it is to do. Maybe get someone a cup of coffee, but a hug, I'm here for hugs. I don't know. It's just, I want to be able to give back what I feel like I got.
Nancy, so many people see figure skating as hyper-competitive.
Oh, thank you.
Can you see other figure skaters other than competitors? Obviously today, even though perhaps you didn't personally know these people, you feel a connection. So skaters just don't see each other as somebody else to beat on the ice. Do that.
But I think there's like a camaraderie. We spend a lot of time focused on yourself or your team if you're a para dance, but you're in the cold, not so much here, but a lot, hour after hour. So there is like this, you don't have to know everybody to feel that connection. We've been through the same thing, that training, that rigorous schedule of falling over and over and somehow picking yourself back up, which is like the main lesson I think learned in skating is you get back up. Keep on trying, and even when it's hard, you get back up. Even when you're crying, hurt, pain, you get back up and move forward. It's not easy, but that's what we all have to do now together.
Can you reflect on what this loss means for the sport, too? To lose coaches like that, to lose just up-and-comers like that, what that means for the sport.
Does anybody want to start on that one?
Is there more than just here?
I would say, first of all, that the sport will rebound. It always hurts to lose coaches of the talent we lost. In 1961, the same thing happened. We lost some very, very outstanding coaches, but coaches came up and worked harder. To Nancy's point, Nancy went through a very tough time. She had great resolve in 1994 and came back. Tenley around her Olympic time, as you may recall, had an injury, if I recall correctly, Tinley, but she fought back. Skaters are resolute. The other thing I would say is that we're part of a larger sports community. I've heard today from the president of USA Hockey, the executive director of USA Hockey. I've heard from countless people in other sports. We band together. We're a family, not only of figure skaters, but of sports men and women. So I think we will very much rebound, and we'll get some coaches going.
Nancy, you spoke about the coaches a little bit. Are there others that were lost that you would like to share anything about that you knew personally?
No, I don't know.
Not of your generation, really.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
There obviously were more, I think, on the plane that weren't from here, but other skaters. So our community's not that. It's pretty small. I think everyone's talked to people in different parts of, like Washington and Virginia, and it's not just here that's hurting. And it's not just in these specific places. Every rink that has skating has some, I'm sure, some feeling towards this. It's tragic. But I can't give it. I don't know. I can't think.
Other questions?
This was a tragic loss of life, and you mentioned the community is pretty small. So how would you explain the depth of loss in this instance?
We're feeling it.
Well, the community is small. I mean, we have 1,100 members here at the Skating Club of Boston. I think U.S. Figure Skating has 100,000 members. So it's small and it's tight-knit, but it's also very large. I think what makes it feel small is we're so cohesive. And for Nancy's point, and I think Tenley's as well, what you experience at an ice facility here in Boston can be so similar to what you experience in Los Angeles and elsewhere, that there's a common denominator to it. So folks feel this and can relate to this. They can relate to having young kids in their own facility, whether it's here in Boston or Northern Virginia or D.C. or elsewhere in the country. And I think that's what really makes it so small and tight-knit. Other questions?
Doug, is this the time of day when you normally would see skaters out here playing?
This would be packed. What time is it?
1:30.
In an hour, it would be packed.
But there would be kids here.
But we would still have kids
Always.
here. We'd have Team USA kids here that have already, they're past high school. They can train at any time of day. Those coaches would be here. Four Continents Championship, an international event that Max is supposed to go to, is coming up. The World Championships are coming up. The Junior World Championships are coming up. We have 2 skaters going to the Junior World Championships. We have the current and just very recently minted U.S. pair champions who train here and are members here, who are going to the World Championships at TD Garden at the end of March. So there would normally be a lot of training here. Folks have taken a break. Misha and Elisa are with Max. They're training mates. They're friends. And all friends with the Hans and the Lanes, too. So, yes, this would normally be crowded.
When do you plan to see people back out on the ice?
I don't know. I think when they're comfortable coming back on the ice.
And what is your message to your community of 1,100 members? You said, what is it that you told the families and the members?
I was just working on a communication with them right before coming out here, that it's tragic, that we all feel it. We can't explain it. We're in this together. We always support each other together. It's part of the fabric of who we are, both at the Skating Club of Boston and in our skating community. Offer them opportunities to come in and grieve together, both tomorrow, actually this evening and tomorrow. And so we'll put that out there and see how our members respond. I can tell they're feeling things. I think I mentioned earlier, I just can't get to all the texts and emails that I've been getting. And it's heartwarming, and I feel bad that I'm not responding as quickly as I might like. But it really does feel good to know that so many people from around the world and around this country really care. And they care about this club, but they care about the sport, and they care about the athletes. And that's really why we're a tight-knit community.
Could I just say that I think what we'll find is that the skaters will come to the ice and skate as part of the healing, because when you skate, it's an expression, and I think that it will help them to be together on the ice.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's what I was just thinking, this similar, that we all grieve differently, and I just urge them all to be patient with each other, because someone might want to get out there and just practice like it was last week, and someone else might feel like that's not appropriate, but we all grieve differently and at different times and in different ways, and we just have to be accepting, like, that's how they're dealing with it. They just have to go, and somebody else might not be able to step back on the ice for a little while, and that's okay too. Like, just be patient with one another and be there to support one another, whichever way they choose to deal.
And I think for me, as the leader of this organization, it's my job to make sure our ice is occupied and is at capacity. But I have to tell you that this ice being empty and this arena having gone silent, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel very fitting that it's not business as usual here. So I'm glad to see the facility empty. It's almost eerie, but I think it's fitting, and I think it's respectful.
What was it like for coming back and seeing it so tired and reeling with loss?
I skated and trained at the old facility, not here. It was very different than this. But so I didn't come back and skate here, but I said the same thing as Doug just said when I walked in, and it was kind of like, we went upstairs and it was silent. It was eerie. It just is a little strange to be in, and in this ice rink. Other ice rinks, there's not figure skating all day, and here there's figure skating, and there's always music, and we perform to music. It's emotional, and sometimes that may make it harder for some, because you hear the music and you start emoting, and it can just pull out all these feelings, and so it could be challenging to get back out there. That's okay. Just a little at a time, and just do what we can and be there. As I say, we just have to be there for one another. But I think to be here, I don't come here that often, and I just didn't know what else to do. So I just thought I needed to be with some friends. Paul and I have been through a lot together, and Tenley and I lately more and more. So yeah, I've always felt support and encouraged, and I walked in, I saw Anne, and she's just, there were lots of hugging, and I think I needed that, so thanks for having me. I said, I hope I didn't throw a wrench in, just like, we're showing up, but we just all needed to be here with you. Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you, folks. Again, we appreciate your interest and support.
Thank you.
I have a list of all the names and spellings over here.
Those were the CEO as well as current and former members and founders of the Skating Club of Boston as they remember the 6 individuals part of this club who died in the D.C. plane collision. We were hearing from Nancy Kerrigan right there, a former Olympic skater as well as member of the Skating Club of Boston, talking about just how close-knit not only the skating community is, but the athletic community across the United States, saying that these elite athletes, this really is their second home, and oftentimes they spend more time in these facilities than with their own families. And so we were hearing the raw emotion from the voices of Nancy Kerrigan, the CEO there, Doug, as well as a number of others, as they are saying they are resolute. They will come together. Right now they are grieving, but they will find the strength to move on and honor the lives of the 6 members who did perish in this crash right there. We do know that 2 were coaches, 2 were athletes, and 2 were mothers. And so we did want to bring that to you as we continue to hear reaction and responses from those who remember and are connected with the victims. I also wanted to share this live look with you. This is a live look right here.